For over a century, historians believed the Maya civilization collapsed because they failed, because they disappeared, because something went terribly wrong. But what if everything we were told about their collapse was incomplete? At its peak, the Maya built cities that rivaled the greatest empires on Earth. Monumental pyramids, advanced calendars, precise astronomy, and engineering that still astonishes archaeologists today. They mapped the stars with stunning precision. They predicted eclipses. They recorded history in stone. This was not a fragile society on the edge of failure. At its height, millions lived across sprawling city-states. Trade routes stretched across Mesoamerica. Their architecture rose above the rainforest canopy like stone mountains. Then, between the 8th and 9th centuries, something changed. Major cities were gradually abandoned. Monuments stopped being carved. Construction halted. The silence began. Early researchers believed the answer was simple. They claimed the Maya collapsed because of warfare, invasion, or internal chaos, a dramatic fall from greatness. City after city in the southern lowlands declined. Entire urban centers emptied. To outsiders, it looked like a total civilizational failure. Later, a new theory emerged: severe drought, environmental collapse, a civilization that exhausted its land and could not recover from climate disaster. Sediment cores from ancient lakes seemed to confirm long drought cycles. Rainfall patterns shifted. Crops may have failed. Food shortages may have intensified. But there was a problem with the collapse theory. Not all Maya cities disappeared. Some continued to thrive for centuries after the supposed collapse. While southern lowland cities declined, northern cities like Chichén Itzá expanded. Construction flourished. Trade intensified. Political power shifted northward rather than disappearing entirely. This was not a sudden extinction. It was a geographic reorganization. Power moved, populations relocated. The center of influence changed. Recent research suggests intense political fragmentation. Rival city-states competed for dominance. Alliances shifted. Internal instability may have weakened major southern capitals. Evidence of warfare increased during the late Classic period. Fortifications expanded. Defensive walls appeared in cities that once relied on open ceremonial design. Yet, the Maya were not passive victims of climate. They engineered terraces, reservoirs, and water systems that sustained millions through unpredictable seasons. Massive reservoirs stored rainwater for dry months. Some cities built sophisticated filtration systems that removed contaminants from drinking water. Excavations now show something unexpected. Even as royal monuments stopped, many smaller communities remained active. Daily life continued beyond ceremonial decline. Monuments were left incomplete. Construction halted mid-process. This suggests political collapse at elite levels rather than total societal disappearance. Trade networks along the coast expanded during later periods. Marine routes connected distant regions, suggesting adaptability rather than isolation. The collapse was not uniform. It was uneven, regional, and complex. Some cities fell, others adapted. The civilization transformed rather than vanished. In recent years, LiDAR technology has transformed our understanding of the Maya world, revealing thousands of hidden structures buried beneath dense jungle. These scans revealed vast causeways connecting cities across hundreds of miles, suggesting coordinated regional networks far more extensive than previously imagined. Population estimates once thought modest have dramatically increased. Some researchers now believe millions lived within interconnected urban and rural zones. However, intensified agriculture placed immense strain on soil systems. Overcultivation may have reduced long-term sustainability in certain regions. Climate scientists studied lake sediments and tree rings to reconstruct drought cycles, revealing repeated periods of prolonged rainfall reduction. Evidence suggests severe droughts occurred during critical political periods, compounding existing social and economic pressures. As elite systems destabilized, ceremonial construction declined. Jungle reclaimed monumental spaces once filled with ritual and authority. Migration patterns indicate people moved rather than disappeared. Communities resettled in more sustainable regions. Today, millions of Maya descendants still live throughout Central America, preserving language, tradition, and cultural continuity. The civilization did not vanish into myth. It evolved, transformed, and endured through resilience and adaptation. When early European explorers first encountered towering Maya temples swallowed by jungle, they interpreted the silence as evidence of total abandonment. 19th century publications described the Maya as a vanished people, reinforcing the romantic idea of a mysterious lost civilization. Early archaeology often focused on monumental architecture, while ignoring evidence of rural continuity and long-term cultural survival. For decades, scholars could not read Maya hieroglyphs, leaving political histories and social context largely misunderstood. Once decipherment advanced in the 20th century, inscriptions revealed detailed accounts of warfare, alliances, and political upheaval. These texts showed internal conflicts between city-states, suggesting political fragmentation rather than sudden civilizational disappearance. Construction slowed gradually over generations, not abruptly within a single catastrophic event. While southern lowland cities declined, northern centers such as Chichén Itzá continued to flourish. Trade networks adapted, shifting toward coastal and highland regions where environmental pressures differed significantly. The story was never one of extinction. It was a story of transformation, relocation, and resilience across centuries. Modern researchers now understand that no single cause explains the classic Maya collapse. Instead, multiple pressures compounded gradually across generations. Population growth placed enormous strain on surrounding forests, farmland, and fresh water systems that sustained urban centers. Deforestation for agriculture and construction altered local ecosystems, reducing rainfall retention and increasing soil erosion over time. Lake sediment analysis reveals extended drought periods occurring precisely during the late Classic decline. Urban reservoirs, once engineered for water storage, likely ran dangerously low during prolonged drought cycles. Simultaneously, inscriptions record intensified warfare between rival city-states competing for shrinking resources. Archaeological layers show evidence of destruction events, suggesting conflict destabilized already stressed political systems. Trade disruptions weakened economic alliances that once connected distant Maya cities through complex exchange systems. As elite authority declined, residents may have relocated voluntarily, seeking stability in less politically volatile regions. Most importantly, the Maya people never disappeared. Millions of Maya descendants continue their culture, language, and traditions today. What collapsed was not the civilization itself, but the political dominance of major urban centers. Archaeological evidence shows continued occupation in many regions long after major capitals were abandoned. The process unfolded over generations, not in a single catastrophic moment as earlier historians once believed. Power and population gradually shifted toward northern cities that remained active for centuries afterward. Cities like Chichén Itzá thrived during periods once considered part of the supposed collapse era. Maya language, traditions, and agricultural knowledge survived, adapting through colonial and modern periods. New decipherments of hieroglyphs have transformed how scholars interpret political and environmental pressures. Rather than mystery disappearance, evidence points to complex systemic stress interacting over time. The Maya story is not one of extinction, but of resilience through adaptation and regional transformation. Today, millions of Maya descendants live across Mexico and Central America, continuing traditions that never truly vanished. Knowledge passed quietly through generations, preserved in language, ritual, farming, and community memory. Modern technology like LiDAR continues uncovering vast networks of cities hidden beneath the jungle canopy. Far from isolated city-states, the Maya maintained interconnected systems spanning enormous geographic distances. Stone monuments still stand as silent testimony to political ambition, scientific achievement, and cultural continuity. Environmental pressure strained society, but evidence suggests adaptation occurred unevenly across regions. Communities engineered new water management systems, proving innovation persisted even during crisis. What we once called collapse now appears more like transformation across shifting centers of power. Understanding deepens as new generations reinterpret evidence without repeating outdated assumptions. We were wrong about the collapse of the Maya civilization because it never truly disappeared. What we are discovering now challenges everything we once believed about collapse, because these terraces show deliberate reinforcement, adaptation, and engineering, not desperation or sudden abandonment in the face of inevitable failure. These irrigation channels revealed long-term planning and environmental management, proving the Maya were actively responding to shifting climate patterns rather than collapsing blindly under pressures they could not understand. Massive reservoirs like this one demonstrate centralized organization and foresight, suggesting leadership structures remained functional long after traditional timelines once claimed society had already collapsed beyond recovery. Rather than an overnight disappearance, new evidence suggests gradual transformation, where cities shrank, populations redistributed, and political systems restructured instead of vanishing in dramatic catastrophe. These inscriptions continue decades beyond the supposed collapse period, quietly recording leadership transitions and events that contradict the narrative of abrupt societal extinction. Trade networks, once assumed to have disintegrated entirely, appear instead to have shifted geographically, maintaining economic interaction even as major political centers weakened. Luxury materials like obsidian and jade continue appearing in later layers, suggesting elite exchange systems did not disappear immediately, but evolved in more decentralized forms. For ordinary families, life did not end in a single dramatic collapse, but continued with adjustments, resilience, and adaptation to political and environmental change. Drought cycles were real, but agricultural systems show intentional mitigation strategies, proving environmental stress was severe, yet not instantly civilization-ending. Today's climate reconstructions show prolonged variability rather than singular catastrophe, reinforcing the idea that collapse was complex, layered, and deeply regional rather than universal.
What becomes clear when viewing the broader region is that collapse did not occur everywhere simultaneously, but unfolded unevenly, affecting some cities while others remained stable for generations. In several regions, new defensive structures were built during supposed decline, suggesting political tension and warfare intensified rather than complete societal breakdown. Evidence of burning in elite compounds indicates episodes of internal conflict, pointing toward political fragmentation rather than purely environmental disaster. Power struggles between competing dynasties likely destabilized alliances, weakening centralized authority and accelerating fragmentation long before populations fully dispersed. The intentional defacement of royal imagery suggests ideological rebellion, where political legitimacy eroded from within rather than collapsing solely from drought or famine. LiDAR technology has uncovered thousands of previously unknown settlements, proving population decline was more complex and geographically dispersed than early researchers imagined. As large ceremonial centers declined, smaller rural communities appear to have persisted, adapting to new political realities without abandoning their cultural foundations. The continuation of calendar and astronomical knowledge indicates intellectual traditions survived political fragmentation, preserving scientific systems across generations. Most importantly, the Maya civilization never truly vanished because millions of descendants continue cultural traditions, language, and identity into the present day. What we once labeled as collapse may instead represent transformation, where power structures shifted and cities changed, yet civilization endured in new forms. Excavations across major ceremonial centers continue to uncover evidence of gradual adaptation rather than sudden abandonment, reshaping how scholars interpret the so-called collapse narrative. Inscriptions show that monumental construction and ritual activity continued in some regions decades after others declined, confirming that collapse unfolded unevenly across the civilization. Trade networks connecting distant cities appear to have weakened gradually, disrupting economic stability and reducing the influence of powerful urban elites. Environmental stress certainly played a role, but drought alone cannot explain the complex political shifts and social fragmentation revealed by recent archaeological findings. Communities responded to climate pressure with innovation, expanding terracing and water management systems rather than passively surrendering to environmental decline. Population data suggests migration toward more sustainable areas, indicating redistribution rather than extinction of the people themselves. Elite palaces may have fallen silent, yet their abandonment reflects political instability more than societal disappearance. Soil analysis reveals cycles of environmental recovery after drought periods, suggesting ecosystems rebounded rather than permanently collapsing. Advanced scanning continues to uncover massive infrastructure networks, proving the Maya built resilient systems capable of sustaining large populations for centuries. The story of collapse transforms into a story of transformation, reminding us that civilizations evolve rather than simply vanish from history. Maya inscriptions reveal political struggles, shifting alliances, and dynastic rivalries that destabilized city-states long before environmental pressures intensified. The last dated monuments mark political endings for certain rulers, not the disappearance of entire populations. Political fragmentation likely fractured centralized authority, weakening the ability of major cities to coordinate regional responses to crises. Rural communities appear to have persisted beyond the decline of urban centers, maintaining traditions and agricultural practices independently. The Maya people never vanished. Their descendants continue to live across Central America, preserving language, identity, and cultural continuity. Chronological evidence confirms staggered decline across centuries, challenging the idea of a singular catastrophic event. When long-distance trade networks weakened, economic strain likely amplified political instability in major centers. Urban centers faded into the forest not because humanity vanished, but because power shifted elsewhere. Climate stress, political rivalry, economic disruption, and shifting trade routes interacted in complex, reinforcing cycles. Today's researchers increasingly reject oversimplified collapse theories in favor of multifaceted explanations. New technologies continue to reveal hidden infrastructure, proving that ancient systems were more extensive than previously imagined. What appears today as silent jungle once held interconnected cities capable of remarkable resilience. Water storage and management systems demonstrate adaptive engineering rather than societal failure. Nature reclaimed abandoned monuments, but the people adapted elsewhere. Cultural continuity bridges ancient cities and modern communities. The stones remain, but the narrative has changed. Instead of collapse, we see transformation across regions. Resilience may be the more accurate word. Civilizations do not always end, they evolve. The Maya story was never about disappearance, but about change.
If you enjoy real history that feels unreal, subscribe and like the video so you don't miss the next story. Thank you.